Okay, welcome to the virtual laboratory. The first thing I'm going to demonstrate today is the test for an aldehyde. So if you remember, the aldehyde has this functional group here with a carbon with a double bonded oxygen and then a hydrogen. We usually form an aldehyde from the oxidation of the primary alcohol. So the reagent that we're going to use to test for an aldehyde is called Tollen's reagent. So Tollen's reagent is also known as ammonical silver nitrate, but you really only need to remember Tollen's reagent, but you'll see where that name comes from when I make it up. And it's a mild oxidizing agent. This means it's able to oxidize an aldehyde, because an aldehyde is fairly easy to oxidize, but it can't oxidize an alcohol like the dichromate, which is another oxidizing agent that we use, and we'll also demonstrate in a separate video. So, how do we go about making ammonical silver nitrate? Let me just find all my bits here. I think that one goes with that one. Yep. So, we need to start off with nice, new, clean test tube. And these are not too bad, but I did a test run before. They're not perfect, but let's see how we go. And the first thing we do is we add some silver nitrate to that test tube. So we're going to add about 1 centimetre in the bottom of the test tube of silver nitrate. And then we are just going to add a couple of drops of sodium hydroxide solution, and you can see it forms that yucky brown precipitate, which is not what we want yet. Then we're going to take some ammonia solution. Be a little bit careful with this, it's quite strongly odoured, you wouldn't want to get too big a breath of this. And then when we get a bit in there, if we add just a few drops of this, what we should hopefully see, the odour of that is quite strong. Let me just put the lid back on. Add a little bit more ammonia. And you can see that brown is disappearing, hasn't quite gone yet. So we just add a little bit more. And now all of that brown precipitate has just about dissolved. I'll just add that last bit. So we have made an ammonical silver nitrate solution. Now, I'm just going to put that there to one side for the moment, and we will quickly make up another one, because we want to compare here a aldehyde with an alcohol. So I add my silver nitrate, add my sodium hydroxide, take a deep breath before I open it, add my ammonia solution here, and shake to get that to dissolve. More. Okay. Just not quite all dissolved yet, so I'll just need a little bit more ammonia. Stir that right into the bottom so that, put that lid on because that doesn't smell real good. Almost there. Almost there. Use that pipette to blow up. Yep. Now that's all dissolved. So now we have got our 2 test tubes of ammonical silver nitrate. Sorry, you can't quite see those, just here in the end. So what we are going to do is to one of those test tubes, we'll do it to this one here, we are going to add some glucose solution. So 10% glucose solution. So we've got our glucose structure up here. We all know probably glucose, C6H12O6. Here is, at least in the linear form, the structure of glucose, and we've got this aldehyde group up here on the end that we're testing for. So if we add some glucose to this one, so I've just added some glucose solution to that test tube, and then we'll just put this aside. This reaction does take a while, and what I'll do in a sec is grab a beaker of just warm water, just to speed up the reaction a little bit. So that one there on the end is the glucose. Put the glucose next to it so I remember. And then I've also just got some ethanol here, ethyl alcohol, ethanol solution, which is just a normal alcohol. So I'm going to add some of that to the other solution. So just a clean pipette here. We'll add that to the ammoniacal silver nitrate. And let's just put that one down to this side. Put them at the end next to each other so that we can remember which is which. And what I will do now is, first I'm going to get a beaker of warm water to put them in, just to speed the reaction up a little bit. But I'll also pause the video and then we'll come back and see what has happened after a few minutes. Cheers. Okay, so I've only just put these into hot water. What you can initially see is this one here on this side. We're starting to see this brown. We're almost seeing that silver color forming in the middle of that one, but it will take a little bit longer. So that was the one with the glucose, and this one here that came from the ethanol. We haven't really seen any change from yet. So it's not going to take that long. You can see sort of more that grey colour, but if we leave it a bit longer, we should get that nice silver mirror form. The cleaner the glass is, the better the silver mirror that you get, but that's obviously enough for a positive test for an aldehyde. So I'll just pause again and leave that for a little bit longer, and we'll come back and see what it looks like. Okay, back again. As always, when you try and do something in a video, it doesn't work fantastic, but it's worked okay. So firstly, if we look at our test tube with the ethanol, we don't see any sort of evidence of a reaction there. It looks pretty much like it did at the start. So there's our test tube there after we empty it. Not really any major change. This one here, we haven't got a really nice, neat silver mirror, but we can see that grey silver colour that's formed, and I'll just pour that out. Oh, you can still smell the ammonia. Now this one, that brown colour is the silver. You can see the silver's a little bit thicker in points, but it hasn't quite got thick enough to form that silver mirror. If we look at one I did here before, you can see we get much more of that mirror finish. Now neither of those have worked perfectly to get a nice silver mirror, which looks really cool. I could muck around and try and better. Normally it's about just finding test tubes that have never been used before and that are completely clean, which I thought these were, but I'm not sure now. But you can definitely see the evidence of the change that is due to the presence of an aldehyde. So that is Tollen's reagent and the test for aldehydes. Cheers.